All right, greetings from the Dark Continent, Conscious Caracal here, or Adams Van Sale, here to shine a light on the goings-on down south. And as you can see, I finally got, due to popular demand, a new webcam. I don't know why you guys are so desperate to see me in high definition, but yeah, well, there you go. So many comments saying the fuzzy little pixelated webcam just ain't doing it. Well, all right. I've got one now. I think the sound is fine. Let me know if there's anything that needs to be adjusted. Let me just see here. Just adjust my seat a little bit. Yeah, that's better. It's going to be a few episodes before I get the perfect positioning. But then also, I still need to create a little bit of a background here. I wanted to do that over the holidays and just didn't get to it. Too many other chores and responsibilities and things I had to get to. So I didn't get to that. I see there's already people in the live chat here. Zach says, good evening, Arends, or as we say in my first language, Hot kwal. Love your attempt to speak Swedish, by the way. Well, there was my attempt. Love the new camera and the quality of the video too. Well, yeah, I don't know why the video quality is such a big deal, but it seems to be to a lot of people. Thank you very much, Zach. Right, so for those of you that are new to this channel, you might not know, always the first episode of the year is a solo stream that I do, and it is always aimed at not only talking about some of the themes and ideas that I think are going to be significant in 2026 or in the coming year, but also taking your questions, answering your questions, and talking about setting some goals for the year that we need to achieve. So if you're on the audience and you have any questions regarding the year ahead, leave them in the live chat. I'd love to answer them, as long as they're relatively relevant to the topic and not too just like completely irrelevant to the topic that's being discussed. But I think most of you will definitely understand what type of questions match the vibe of the show. Kastier says, "Don't Arends, lekker kamera, ja, dis 2026, dis hoekom." Dalk is dit omdat in 2026 kon ek nie meer so 'n slegte kamera hê nie. Ek moet al dat die tegnologie pas by die jaar. So goeie redes daar. Reinier sê, "Goeienaand Arends en voorspoed vir 2026. Baie dankie Reinier, ek waardeer dit." And yes, as you have been able to deduce, I see a lot of people coming in here. CBB1 says, "Goeienaand almal." Net sommer om net gou vir julle te herinner, as julle my spesifiek my Afrikaanse inhoud wil sien, dan moet julle gaan na In Alle Erns toe, my Afrikaanse YouTube kanaal. Daar's 'n skakel in die beskrywing. Daar doen ek al my Afrikaanse inhoud. Zach says that's a lot of Afrikaans greetings. Yes, a lot of Afrikaans people are getting in here. I think the majority of my audience is Afrikaners. That's why, one of the reasons why I also put so much effort into trying to create not only English content, but Afrikaans content that covers the same topics as well. Yeah, a lot of people dropping in here. Hello, Nisha. So as you have been able to deduce from the title of tonight's stream, the topic for tonight, and also one of the themes that I think is going to be very significant in the year ahead, is to stop apologizing to people who hate you, specifically those who hate you for who you are, based on your religion, your culture, your identity. People who hate you because you're an Afrikaner, people that hate you because you're white, people that hate you because you're Christian, people that hate you because all these different ways in which your identity is defined. And I see there's a lot of people coming into the chat now. Just to remind everyone, this is a very informal conversation. So if there's any questions regarding the year ahead, I'll gladly answer them. Leuven Janse van Rensburg sê fantastiese 2026 vir jou en jou familie Arends. Baie dankie. Piper Pickled says the title is 100% right. Apologizing to people who see you as their enemy only reinforces their belief that you are the enemy. Yes, I'm going to get into that in just a moment. Also, Gert says, Gert Jansen van Rensburg says, goeienaand Arends, voorspoedige nuwe jaar, almal en julle families. Stefan sê ook goeienaand en voorspoedige 2026. Ja, Stefan, as I told you over private DM, I was going to, I had not installed the new camera yet because I wanted to use it the first time when I had a nice background, but I haven't been able to get to creating a nice background. So I'll be doing that in the future. So for now, I think I've postponed using the new webcam long enough now. Debbie says, good evening, all good people. Looking forward to seeing what positive things 2026 brings us. Zach asks, what's your view of Maduro's capture? Let me just mark that comment. I will definitely be getting to that. And as I said, put your questions in the comments and I will be answering them throughout the stream. But first I have to get to the theme of tonight. Nisha says, voorspoedige 2026 vir ieder en elk van julle luisteraars met families en errands. Also, just to remind you again, if you are specifically interested in my Afrikaans content, there's a whole channel dedicated to that. I try to create all the content or ideas that I cover on this channel. I also try to cover in Afrikaans on my Afrikaans channel called In Alle Errands. And there's a link in the description to that. So let's start with the topic at hand first. When I'm done with the topic, then we can get to the questions. So you can start putting your questions regarding 2026 that you want me to answer in the live chat. But I'm going to cover the topic for tonight first. So what do I mean in regards to this? One of the themes of this year that I think is going to be important being the end of all these apologetics regarding identity. Well, firstly, as you would have seen, and many times that I've said on this channel and in other interviews, you should not be apologizing, firstly, to people that hate you for who you are. And secondly, you should not be apologizing to people who don't believe in mercy or redemption. For example, according to our Christian faith, you should always be open to forgiveness and to the idea of mercy and redemption. But there is a caveat to that. There is a condition there, and that is the fact that when you, for example, forgive someone, they can't continuously just keep doing the wrong thing that you forgave them for. But then also there needs to be personal growth. But also, you should be, in a functioning society and in a decent society and a civil society, a civilized society, you should, when you make a mistake, you should firstly acknowledge that you made a mistake, and then you should apologize for making that mistake. That's decent behavior. But you are apologizing based on the premise that the other person accepts your apology, that they believe in mercy, showing mercy to someone who acknowledges that they made a mistake or that they did something wrong and that they are sorry for. And then secondly, you're apologizing based on the premise that the other person believes in redemption, that someone who makes a mistake can be redeemed. Someone who does something wrong can be redeemed. These are very basic values, particularly Christian values, but those values are exploited by people who exploit that very healthy part of society that teaches you to acknowledge when you made a mistake or did something wrong and then to apologize. There are malicious actors out there that hack that positive, healthy part of society and then try to force you to apologize for things that you're not even guilty of. Try to force you to feel guilty for things that you didn't even do. And as I'm mentioning these ideas, I know a lot of you already are thinking of the types of people who do this. And we encounter a lot of them in South Africa, especially this idea of historical guilt, that you need to be sorry or that you need to apologize for things, not just specifically things that your direct ancestors did in the past. No. You need to apologize and feel guilty for things that people that are not even related to you did, people that simply looked like you. Because some people in the past with white skin, for example, did something wrong, you in the present with white skin now need to apologize or feel guilty for it, even though those people aren't your direct ancestors at all. And that's why you also get, in the most egregious cases, these comments of people saying, well, you need to apologize for the sins of your father. No. The individual in the present is not guilty of the sins of his father. And secondly, on a more literal sense, you do not know who my father is. You do not know what happened, what goes on in his heart. You do not know whether he is a good or a bad person. You're simply coming to a prejudiced conclusion because my father is white and I am his descendant. Now, of course, you just get to that conclusion. Oh, of course, he must be evil, and therefore you in the present need to apologize. So there's many layers to this collective guilt, and it's all, once you start scratching the surface, it really just it doesn't hold up. It's really an evil idea. Anyone pushing that idea is not someone motivated by good intentions. Don't excuse them by saying, "Oh, the road to hell is paved with good intentions." No, these are the people that are pushing these narratives of collective guilt, of apologizing for things that you did not do. These are malicious people. They are evil people. They are trying to get to you, trying to make you feel bad, or even extract resources from you based on falsities, based on lies. And that's the reality of it. So let's see here. I'm gonna see what's going on in the chat before I continue with my unpacking some of these ideas. I hope this is relevant to everyone tuning in. Zach says, you don't believe in the Cobra Kai philosophy of mercy is for the weak. No, I don't believe in mercy is for the weak. To show mercy to someone that deserves it, not just show mercy for mercy's sake, is a very courageous and strong thing to do. I think there's also a wrong way to show mercy in regards to just being performative. You just show mercy to broadcast to the world that I am a merciful person, therefore I'm a good person. No, that's also wrong. That's weakness. Real strength from showing mercy is when you see someone acknowledge that they were wrong, or someone acknowledging that they made a mistake and then accepting their apology, and not then continuing to then just want to destroy them and punish them into the ground. That's this type of philosophy that we see with the ANC, a party that does not believe in mercy or redemption. They just believe that white people need to be punished through discrimination and other ways ad infinitum, forever, without any end date in sight, and punished for things that we didn't even do. I mean, I was born after apartheid ended, but according to the ANC and a lot of these leftists in South Africa, I'm guilty for things that happened in the past, things that I didn't even do. Enough of that. That's why the thumbnail says near. No. When people, that's one of my first challenges to you this year. When you are confronted by someone who tells you, apologize for something that you did not do, or feel guilty for something that you did not do, just simply for the fact that you have white skin, you look them in the eye and you don't even explain. You just say, no, near. That's it. You don't have to give them an explanation. You don't have to write an essay for them. You don't have to write a Twitter thread. You just say no. Say no. I reject your premise. Goodbye. It's as easy as that. Oh, well, articulate what you did wrong and explain what steps you're going to take to make sure you don't do it again. Yes, well, that's the healthy way of an apology, is that you apologize when you acknowledge that you did actually do something wrong, and you apologize to people who are coming to you in good faith. People who will accept your apology, who believe in mercy, who believe in redemption, who believe that humans are flawed and sinful, and that we are going to make mistakes, and there needs to be leeway for that. But as I said, this good, kind-hearted side of humanity is exploited by people who are trying to get something from you. Pepper says 5 to 10 minutes in and it's solid info already. Well, thank you very much. I'm really appreciative of that. As long as I'll continue making it. I mean, I don't make money out of this channel. You guys, sometimes when you feel very nice, you give me some little donations, sometimes very big donations. Well, in my view, big donations. In the live chat donation option, I really appreciate it. But this is just my hobby. If you really want to give something, then I put the option there, especially when the live chat is going too fast and I can't read everyone's comments. Then I think it serves a function. When you give a donation, your little comment is pinned, which means I actually see it. So that then serves a function. That's why I put it on monetization. But I don't worry, I don't need YouTube to survive. I'm not going to ever beg you for money. If I ever beg you for money, shame me in the comment section, laugh at me, mock me. But if you really feel so inclined that you really want to give something, you just have this urge, then sure, yeah, you can, but you really don't have to. Make this content because I love doing it. As I said, it's my hobby. And to get back to the comment that I'm responding to, if as long as I'm putting something out there that people find interesting and insightful, then I enjoy it. And no is a full sentence, yes. Gastheer is breek ergens, amen, niks behoorlijk. Bitter Einder says, I am Charlie. I am a conscious character. Pepper says, do you have a merch store? No, I don't. I used to have an option where you could buy a mug, but that was many years ago. I have to actually look where the rest of that stock is. There was some left. I sold some. I didn't have a lot, but I'll see where that is. Maybe I'll make it available again. But no, I don't have a merch store. Debbie says, don't take the bait. It's my advice. Better not let them get to you. Oh, yeah, that's the other piece of advice that I want to give for 2026 is that not every stupid comment that you encounter online deserves a response. I know the urge is very strong when you see something, someone says something very stupid or just moronic online. You want to get in there and destroy them with facts and logic. But no, it's... not always. Sometimes it's better to just not give them the attention. So you'll see in recent years, I've started responding much less to little 5-follower accounts coming to spew nonsense in my reply section. It's just not worth it. But the Reinder gave 20 Rand and he says it's for a boerewors roll. Baie dankie, but the Reinder, really appreciate it. That's literally what I will be using it for. I will probably be buying myself a boerewors roll, and you can be I'll thank you for that. Or I'll just save it. But at the moment, as I told you, most of the money that I will be most of the money that is donated, I'll try to use in ways to make the show better. But I'm not really a very flashy guy. I don't know really what. I got the camera now, but I mean the sound I think is fine. I don't think the image can get more HD. And maybe the only real thing that I can still spend money on to make the show better is probably to buy some new paintings and things for the background, or some cool things that I can put on the wall behind me. I wish I could spend the money on more things specifically related to the show, but I can't really think of more things to practically improve. Kastia, I asked for a mug years ago. You've been looking ever since. What do you mean? Did you ask for one and I promised you one, I didn't send you one? If that's the case, I'll definitely send you. Let's see here. Lowbrow says, lekker nuwe jaar, rooi kat en almal. Thank you very much, Lowbrow. I'm getting distracted now from the topic. I'm drifting. Let me continue. So the central idea here is that, firstly, why should you not be apologizing to people that hate you? Well, for some of you, maybe it's not that obvious. As I said earlier, your natural instinct, especially for Christians, is to immediately want to apologize when there's a lot of pressure on you, that a lot of voices around you saying that you did something wrong. And the pressure is high that, well, of course, in the past, when we lived in smaller communities, in villages and towns, if a large portion of the town is telling you you should feel bad, you did something wrong, your initial instinct is then to say, well, I probably did something wrong, and then you apologize, and then you are forgiven. But the internet kind of exploits and hacks that impulse, because now a bunch of strangers, people not from your community, people from all over the world, are piling on people sometimes in cancel campaigns, trying to force them to apologize or do something, or get punished for something that they didn't do. So it hacks that human impulse that when a lot of people around you are telling you that you're a bad person and you should apologize, you should feel bad, your natural response is to believe them, because that's how we operated for a very long time in smaller communities, for a very large part of human existence. But here's the deal. Here's why you should not fall for that tactic. if you end up apologizing to these hate mobs, to these cancel mobs, to these people trying to make you feel guilty for just being an Afrikaner or being white or being a Christian or being right or being conservative, your apology will be rejected. That's a very important thing to remember. It doesn't work anyway. I don't know where this advice comes from, is that when a cancel campaign is going on, you just should apologize and that's going to calm everyone down. No, it makes things worse. When you apologize for something that you didn't do just to end it all, just to stop the screaming, it gets worse, because then that apology is used against you as proof of your guilt and the basis of your punishment. So that's my advice to all the corporates out there and people that are the mostly targeted by cancel culture, the people that are pressured to fire people for their views or fired for their beliefs or for their identity. Just don't give in to these pressure campaigns by cancel mobs, because they're not going to accept your apology. They're just going to double down, and you're going to feed into the social media cycle. I wish that's something that political parties, organizations, and companies understood, is that if you look at these cancel campaigns, they last about 2 to 3 weeks. And if nothing else happens to reinvigorate or re-energize the cancel campaign or the controversy that's being pushed by journalists and the media and politicians and social media influencers, it dies down. And that's why, for example, so many of the cancellations that we saw in recent years could have been avoided if the people just stuck to their guns and said, no, I'm not going to fire someone for doing nothing wrong. For example, the DA firing Ronaldo Gous for doing nothing wrong. If they just said no and straightened their spine, at some point the drama stops. At some point the mob moves on to the next controversy. The social media cycle moves on. The wheel turns. And from my observation, the media cycle is about 2 to 3 weeks max. And then it moves on. The same goes for Roman Kaepernick that was fired by John Steenhuisen. That whole faux controversy was almost over. It was almost like the cycle had almost moved on. And I thought they were going to, that John's office was going to actually be the first to show that, well, we're not going to fire someone based on a cancellation campaign. And they almost made it. They were so close. And then at the last moment, they capitulated. They gave in. And I just wish more people understood that these cancellation campaigns have a very short lifespan, and they die. They die out very quickly if you just hold the line. As long as you're actually not guilty. That's the other thing that's very important. If the people that are trying to get you fired, or the people that are trying to, I don't know, have something happen to you regarding your employment or whatever the nature of the cancellation may be, if you're actually guilty, this is not going to work. If you're actually guilty of what you're being accused of, then no amount of straightening your back and no amount of stubbornness is going to save you. Then don't take my advice. Then accept the consequences of your own actions. I'm talking about people that are targeted for innocent people that are targeted for things that they did not do when they did not do something wrong. If you actually did something wrong and people are calling for consequences for you, then you're on your own. I'm not going to defend you. If you actually transgressed some moral line, if you actually did do something illegal, if you actually did do something that is worthy of you getting fired, then the cancellation campaign or the campaign to have you face consequences is going to be successful no matter how much you resist it. But if you didn't do anything wrong, your opponents and the people trying to destroy you are constantly going to have to keep this faux outrage going. So they're constantly going to have to lie, keep making up more outrageous things, keep pushing more outrageous narratives. And at some point, it just collapses under its own weight. But if you're actually guilty, then they've got enough ammo to just keep going forever. So then my advice is not going to work. But Reiner says, I hope they listen and learn. Debbie says towards your coffee breaks. Well, thank you very much. I will. That's a lot of coffee. I just saw 140 Rand. Thank you very much, Debbie. That's. I don't drink that much coffee. I think that'll. I don't really buy coffee. I drink kids' coffee, just like. I'm not really a coffee snob at all. I was raised on instant coffee, as most Afrikaners and South Africans are. So I don't really have I'm not a big coffee snob. So that's going to last me a while. But thank you very much. No, you didn't promise me a mug. I said you used to have. You say you used to have, and I will look. Okay. Yeah, just give them your best smile and walk off. If you're innocent, if you actually did not do anything wrong, I can't emphasize this enough. The advice that I'm giving you here is not how to survive controversy if the controversy is actually based on something concrete. If you're actually in the wrong, then this advice is not going to work. I'm talking to people that are innocent people whose people are trying to destroy their lives. Lowbrow says, remember, in the secular religion of social justice, there's no forgiveness. Apologies are only used as a sign of your guilt and as blood in the water. Absolutely, absolutely well said. Yeah, you only bend the knee for a commie to steady your aim. Well, I'm going to get to the Maduro question later. We already have a question regarding that. I did mark it. I just want to get through the topic first. By law, you are wrong. The campaign is getting amped up. Oh, yes, if you did actually do something illegal, the cancellation campaign against you is going to just escalate. Now, there will be exceptions when actually, there's some crazy laws out there. If you look at the UK, for example, there's some crazy speech laws. So again, in that case, if you break one of those laws, a speech law, like you said something that's offensive and now the police are kicking down your door, then I will. That's not what I'm talking about when I say you're on your own if you're actually guilty. I'm talking about like if you actually did something wrong, like a serious moral transgression, not made an edgy joke or posted a meme online. Honesty works as the truth always comes out, says Debbie. Yes, absolutely. Beterander says 70 years ago, cancel culture was the Congo, Angola, Mozambique, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Namibia. Guess who's next? Well, South Africa really is the last bastion of a lot of these values that we're standing up for that have already been destroyed in many parts of the world. Speaking for the innocents as well. Absolutely. Sideliner Opinion says, sorry, I have a guest tonight. We'll listen later. All the best for 2026 for all the CC fans. Well, thank you very much, Sideliner. I really appreciate it. So let's continue. So someone who I'm very proud of that broke the mold at the tail end of last year is the Kiffness, David Scott. Good friend, someone who was targeted by a cancellation campaign simply for his conservative views and his Christian views, and they tried to cancel his concert at these horrible, vile, disgusting people that are tried to cancel his concert at Kirstenbosch, and he just said, no, I'm not going to give in to the pressure. Kirstenbosch didn't give in to the pressure. Well done to them. Credit to them. And the show went ahead. And this massive protest, the media were talking about this. They were building up this huge backlash. Social media erupts. Kiffness under pressure, under fire. And then like 5 people showed up. That's where many people in the media are complicit in the lie. They push this idea that all this noise that you're seeing on social media is real life people that are really upset and they're going to take action. No, they're just barking online. They're not going to do anything. Get out of here. The media should be exposing these hate campaigns, these cancel campaigns for the frauds that they are. That's what a true investigative journalist would do. But no, they amplify, in many cases, these hate campaigns, these cancellation campaigns. It really is disgusting stuff. So some of you might be thinking, when you look at the title, don't apologize to people that hate you. maybe hate is a strong word, some of you might be thinking, but I'm talking about genuine hatred. Chants like kill the boer, kill the farmer. People that chant about that you should be murdered based on your identity. That's real hatred. People that advocate laws and policies that discriminate against small children, excluding them from opportunities from sports as young as 7 or 9 or 8 years old. That's real hatred. People that want to see you destitute, impoverished, and on the street because the government was given the power to expropriate your land or your property without compensation, just because you're white or an Afrikaner. That's genuine hatred. People that advocate that your culture should go extinct, that's genuine hatred. Like, for example, Piet Kroukamp, who said, and I quote, South Africa would be a better place without Afrikaners. That's real hatred. So when I'm talking about don't apologize to people that hate you, I'm not talking about the people making mean jokes in the comment section or people criticizing your views online, people being mean. That's not real hatred. What I just described is real hatred. The people that look at a farm murder case, a farm murder survivor, and say that person is lying. The farm murder deniers, the people that look at the real issue of farm murders, the legitimate issue of farm murders, and then hear stories of elderly people being tortured to death, elderly women having holes drilled in their feet with a power drill, small children being drowned in bathtubs of boiling water. People that look at those stories and listen to those stories and then with a straight face look you in the eye and say, that's just normal crime. That's real hatred. So when I'm talking about don't apologize to people that hate you, I'm talking about those people that genuinely hate you. People that want to see you destitute, impoverished, destroyed, killed, tortured, discriminated against, just because you have a certain identity, just because you're a Christian, just because you're white, just because you're an Afrikaner. Don't apologize to those people. Don't even explain to those people why you're not going to apologize. Just tell them no, as I said earlier. Someone comes to you in 2026, online or in the real world, you don't really find these people in the real world. They're too much of a coward to tell you in the real world, face to face, these vile views of theirs. They'd only spew it online. But if you were to encounter this person or people like this online or in the real world, you look them straight in the eye and you just say no. Nee donkey. Ek gaan nie. No, I won't. And you walk away. You don't have to explain to them why. Don't waste your breath. And that's very, very close to what the Vice President of the United States said at a Turning Point USA conference recently, J.D. Vance. He said, and I quote, in the United States of America, you don't have to apologize for being white anymore. And I want to echo that sentiment in South Africa as well. You don't have to apologize for being white, an Afrikaner, a farmer, a Christian, a conservative. You don't have to apologize. None of these are sins. None of these identities constitute something that deserves an apology. And you don't have to apologize for your ancestors either. On the one side, yes, they weren't perfect people. Men and women that made mistakes, did wrong things. They were human. They sinned. It's the human condition. But they were also great men and women. At least I can say about my ancestors. I've actually done the research into who they were, what they did. They were fantastic people. I'm not going to apologize for them. If they did something wrong, you're going to have to go track them down in the afterlife and take them on about it. But I'm not going to apologize on their behalf. That's not how this works. So no, No more apologizing for things that you did not do, and no more apologizing in 2026 for your ancestors. Your ancestors were great people, very likely. I know mine were certainly great men and women of great character. Fantastic people that deserve praise, not condemnation. And then also, stop apologizing for caring about certain issues. Stop apologizing. And when I'm saying stop apologizing, often it's not an explicit apology. It is taking an apologetic tone when talking about these issues. When talking, for example, about farm murders, you build in a tone or an implication of apologeticness into your response. When someone tells you, why do you care about farm murders? You become defensive. You say, well, let me explain why. No. You puff up your chest, you make your back straight, and you tell them it's a real issue. And I care about real issues. I care about issues that affect me, my family, and my friends. And that's a legitimate thing to care about. As Dr. Dirk Herman has said many times, why do Afrikaners care so particularly passionately about farm murders, the issue of farm murders? Because every Afrikaner is connected to a farm. If a synonym for the Afrikaners are literally the boers, the farmers. Afrikaners and farming are intertwined. If you yourself as an Afrikaner are not a farmer, you have family or friends that farm. That's the long and short of it. So don't apologize or even take a defensive or apologetic tone for caring about farm murders. Don't apologize for caring about the laws that discriminate against you and your children and will, if the ANC get their way, discriminate against your grandchildren and their children. Don't apologize for caring about that issue. Don't apologize for saying that is wrong. And don't apologize for saying that the government should not threaten people with expropriation without compensation. Don't apologize for taking the stance that the government should not have the power to steal people's property without paying the value of that property. Expropriation on its own is not inherently bad. For example, when your property is expropriated because the government wants to build like public infrastructure there, a highway through your farm, they should be allowed to do that, but only on the condition that they pay you the value, at least the market value of what the property that you will be deprived of. So no, the fact that you care about these issues, the fact that AfriForum cares about these issues, the fact that you have friends and family that care about these issues is not something you should feel guilty for. It's not something you should apologize for. These are real issues, and these are issues that you're allowed to care about. And I can already hear the left-wing response to this sentiment of mine. They'll be like, it will be denialism. Let's quote Julius Malema. Deny, deny, deny. Play the race card if you have to, end quote. That's what they will be doing. When people like me say, we're not going to be apologizing for being white, or being Afrikaners, or being Christian, the left wing will say, well, nobody is asking you to apologize for these things. Like, you are. And even worse, you're not just demanding that people apologize for these things, you're demanding that people be punished for these things. The denialism is not going to work anymore. So yeah, that's my theme for 2026. And another thing to remember as well, when all these online people whose bark is worse than their bite, when they scream about racism, there's white people are so racist. There's so many white racists. Afrikaners are so racist. Riddle me this then. Why are there then so many racism hoaxes? why every month is a new racism hoax exposed in South Africa. Jan Braai, the most prominent recent example. If racism, specifically white racism, was so bad in South Africa, why do so many people need to make up stories about racism? Because here's the simple fact. It proves one thing. The demand for white racism in South Africa far exceeds the supply. Otherwise, you wouldn't have to go through the trouble of Jesse Smolletting it. That's a new verb, I guess. So, yeah. And 2026, I mean, don't underestimate the ANC and the South African government. They still got a very powerful propaganda machine. They've got many allies in the media and in the comment class who are going to be pushing their narrative under the banner of we're standing up against disinformation and misinformation. No, you're spreading disinformation and misinformation, my friend. And people see it. Social media has exposed it. I find it really funny. I never thought that I would enjoy reading the comment section of News 24. Whenever they attack AfriForum or scream about disinformation, the entire comment section is just their paid subscribers, people that pay to read News 24, telling them in the comments like, give it a rest, guys. Nobody believes this bull. That was very nice to see. In plot twist, I actually enjoy reading the News 24 comment section quite a lot. I've neglected the comment section, my own comment section. Let's read through the comments. I'm pretty much done with my themes. I'll get to one more theme before the end, but we're pretty much done. Let's just say I want to read, because I promised this is also a Q&A stream. There's so many comments. I'm very, very flattered. Thank you very much, guys. Yes, here we go. Here's where we were last time. That's what I enjoy about having a smaller audience, is that I can actually I want to read everyone's comments. I don't want to just have this constant stream of comments coming through. I want to actually read what you guys have to say, all of you. Pepper says, you do great work, mate. £10. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Devet says, are we going to keep on complaining and complaining as if it will change the mind of the tyrant? Madness, time for action. Well, yes, but at the same time, I mean, I don't really see people just complaining. I see a lot of people taking action. I mean, my organization that I work for, AfriForum, takes action every week, every day. Veg en bou, fight and build, through fighting all these actions. Pressure campaigns, court cases, community organization, neighborhood watches. I mean, the action upon action upon action. So yes, it is. I understand the sentiment of we should not just complain, we should take action as well, but we should not make that point in the tone of, well, I don't see anyone taking action, I just see people complaining. I see a lot of people taking action. I think they deserve credit. Kastier says op dieselfde bladsy as jy in terme van haat. Dankie. Monkey Barking says, we're not going to play by their rules anymore. Yes, that's the mantra for 2026. We're not going to take it anymore. Yeah. I've heard a good response is, I reject your hypothesis to the, yeah, well, just more simply, I reject what you're saying there. You're wrong. No, goodbye. Yeah, don't apologize, don't explain. Absolutely. Let's see, there's another super chat here. Kastier says, ook groot gemaak op Rikoffie, maar daar is bone hoor, jy moet trots wees Afrikaner, of jy moet trots wees Afrikaner. Ja, baie dankie, 350 Rand, thank you very much. If I was a coffee snob, I'd buy very fancy coffees. I will buy myself a very fancy wine maybe with that. not a wine snob, but I do enjoy a nice wine. I come from the Swartland after all. If you buy a Swartland wine, that's from the town Malmesbury where I grew up. Spent a lot of time actually on that farm where the Swartland winery is seated. You're so serious, Aaron. So I'm talking about serious. I am. Well, my name means serious. Ernst. You're ernstig. So I got to live up to my name, but also, yeah, it's a serious topic. I'm not unique in by any stretch of the imagination in this regard. But for example, on the issue of farm murders, I have friends and family that have been affected by farm murders. I've personally know people that have been affected by farm attacks and farm murders. So when I see the farm murder deniers deny that this issue exists, or demand that people apologize for that this issue exists, or that they care about this issue, then I get quite serious. Let's see. So many comments. I'm going to try to get to all of them. There's a question that I promised I will get to as well. Lowbrow says there's nothing wrong with caring and advocating for your folk. Literally every group does it. Absolutely. Don't be ashamed of that. Caring about your culture. Yeah, we are so foolish to apologize for all these things. As I said earlier, often it is not explicit like a literal apology. Often it is simply things of taking a defensive or an apologetic tone for caring about an issue where you should not be apologetic or sorry or defensive at all. For example, farm murders, race laws, threat of expropriation without compensation. These are legitimate issues, and you should not be defensive about caring about them. So it's not an explicit "I am sorry" apology. It's simply apologetically explaining why you care about things that you have every right to care about. Theme worth keeping. Thank you very much. Let's see. Lowbrow says, imagine caring about the term racist in 2026, worn out like an old tacky and only used to shut down opposition to tyranny and theft. Absolutely. Don't care about that term at all. Debbie says, my dad used to say, if you complain, go to work at the airport. Complain. So many comments. As I said, I want to get to as many of them as possible, and then I want to answer that question before we say goodbye. Helen's Duplessis says, gosh, where did 2025 go? No. All right, so I got one direct question about something not related to the topic, but in some way very relevant to what's happening around us. Zach, I hope you're still in the chat. Let me see when's the last time I saw your comment. Oof, it's been a while. I hope Zach is still here. Maybe he's going to let me know if you're in the chat, Zach. I finally got time for your comment or your question. What is your view of Maduro's capture? Well, I was not in a very, when things, world events happen, people always ask, like, do you remember where you were when this happened? When, I don't know, Michael Jackson died, you heard Michael Jackson died, or I don't know, when the 9/11 happened, or when Charlie Kirk died, or whatever big global events that everyone's talking about. Well, when people ask me, where were you when Maduro was captured? My answer is going to be, I was sitting in the backyard with my wife, drinking coffee, watching the chickens. Just fed them and watching them play around and eat, and watching the little chicks run around. So maybe that's another thing that I will be using the money that you donate to me here through the super chats for. I will buy some things for some more feed for the chickens for my little achterplaas, my backyard farm. Let's see here. The Freighter Watcher says, sorry to arrive at the end of the stream, wishing all a happy new year. Well, thank you very much, The Freighter Watcher. I really appreciate it. Lobra says, Castillo, you have to follow someone. You fell off so hard. It's fun to watch in Sparrow. Who are you talking about? Did I miss something? Oh, Olsen. I don't know who Olsen is. You have to. Garth. Garth van Onselen. Comment section, yes. Bi-weekly AfriForum crash out. He gets dragged every time. Yeah, Gareth has been a strange, sad little man past year or so. Crash out is the right word. Just completely losing his mind, obsessed about AfriForum, screaming into the void. And then his comment section is just like him kicking a bee's nest, and all AfriForum supporters and members just swarm in the comment section. Just very creatively telling him that he's a vegetable. Let's see here. Yeah, agterplaas is dan 'n goeie belegging. Backyard farm, yes. Well, that's another thing to add to the sentiment that I was explaining earlier, the Afrikaner's connection to farming. In English, you have a backyard. In Afrikaans, you have an agterplaas, a back farm. So your garden or the backyard is your little farm, because every Afrikaner wants to farm. Every Afrikaner wants their fingers in the dirt. Every Afrikaner wants to grow something, even if it is just a little cactus on his apartment windowsill. That's the truth. Debbie says, my veg and fruit didn't propagate too well with all the rain. Well, sorry to hear that. Don't give up, though. As I've advocated many times on this channel, there's few things as rewarding as growing your own food in your backyard or on your plot or wherever, or even on your windowsill or your stoop. Really, really satisfying. I've started digging my or creating my vegetable garden again. I'd been neglecting it for a while now. But yeah, all right. So the last idea that I want to leave you before we say goodbye, and always as this is how it always works. I always say goodbye when we have the most people watching live at the peak, but I've got other things to do as well. But the Reinder says, yeah, I need to plant flowering plants for my bees. Oh, nice. Do you keep bees? That's fantastic. Yeah, plant some flowers. Very good for all the insects that it attracts, that also pollinate the rest of your garden. Very, very good for your garden. So plant some flowering plants as well. The final parting idea that I want to leave you with before I say goodbye is that, yes, there will be increased propaganda against us in the year ahead. It was just revealed that DIRCO, the South African Department of International Relations, created an entire war room, a situation room to fight disinformation, basically to discredit and attack critics of the regime, in other words, through things like letters and all these other little stunts. So the propaganda will continue, unfortunately, from our opponents. But the good news is, and I really want people to pause on this and ruminate on this, if the situation was truly hopeless, their propaganda would be unnecessary. I mean, why would you be pushing propaganda to help get a certain outcome if that outcome was already guaranteed? If the bad outcome that our opponents want and the people that hate us want was guaranteed, they would not need to focus all their resources and time and pouring millions of rands into propaganda campaigns. Now, would they? Because the end goal would already be gewaarborg, guaranteed. But it's not. And we know it's not, because they keep pushing more and more propaganda, which means that they're losing control, not gaining control. Ja, Dribban sê sterkte met vanjaar ernst. Groot tree, nuwe wêreld propvol van nuwe geleenthede. Die golf is aan ons kant. Yes, absolutely. I absolutely agree that the momentum is on our side. But the momentum can be on you, and the wind can be on your side, even in a storm. And it's going to be a stormy year, I think, but I don't think as stormy as 2025. That's my feeling. That's not betting advice. Don't go to Polymarket using my gut feeling as an indicator. Or as financial advice. Lowbrow says they better act quick with their propaganda. The not in my name crowd are 1 foot in the grave. I asked I asked Arthur, there's a little, we have a little kitten, and I hear he's begging at the door now. He's telling me that I need to finish. So I asked Grok to give me the average age of all the main critics of AfriForum. And he spit out 72. So ja, die verkramptes van ons tyd. Castillo says, hou koers, staan sterk, dankie vir almal wat iets doen sonder dat iemand weet. Well, thank you very much. Oh, De Wet, ek is nie Ernst Roots nie, ek is Ernst van Sail. Ernst Roots is my goeie vriend van Lex Libertas. Dr. Ernst Roots. Maar ja, baie slimmer man as ek. Maar ja, dankie, dis 'n compliment dat jy my met hom sou verwar. So thank you very much for everyone that tuned in. And I hope we have a fantastic 2026. I will now be returning with Stream of Consciousness every week, every Tuesday. And you will be, I hope, finding many of my guests that I have lined up very insightful. Hopefully, one of those guests will be Mr. Roots himself that I was mentioning earlier. Kurt says, mooi loop, Kurt. Lekker aan verder vir jou. So, Helen says, I have 6 cats. One just moved in. Yeah, well, we just have 2. So thank you very much for everyone that tuned in. Remember, stop apologizing in 2026 to people that hate you. And don't even explain why you're not going to apologize. Just tell them no, goodbye. Nee dankie, sê die gaansie. But Reiner says, thanks, looking forward to 2026. God bless ons volk. Ja, God seën die Afrikaners en God seën almal met standvastige goeie waardes in hierdie land van ons. En mense wat opstaan. People, may God bless everyone that stands up for what's right and stands up for justice and the truth, even as C.A. Langenhoven said, even if they receive punishment instead of reward. So cheers, guys. Have a good one. God bless. And I look forward to 2026 and to hear some of your thoughts in the year ahead to all the many exciting things that are going to be happening. So cheers. Have a good one. God bless. Tot ziens. Mooi loop.